broadcasting live from PAX West here in Seattle, Washington for series number 2 as we get down to it here for the North American Fall Regional number 2. To my left, once again, I am joined by Mr. Dunk Train and a familiar face to a lot of people out there in Trixler, coming to join us here as well as we're about to get ready here for Dumpster Tier Superstars going up against Denial Esports. Trixler, you were able to watch our previous series. How are you feeling about it so far?
Yeah, it was a pretty good match. I wasn't expecting TNC to show up because, like, when I watch TNC, there's two things that I think. Either A, wow, they're winning, or B, oh, there they go, throwing again. But going into Game 3, they were pretty confident, and they showed up, which is pretty exciting to see because that means their next series should be just as good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that as well. They could definitely shake up that group, or this group, I should say, as a whole. But let's kind of shift our focus now a little bit onto what is about to come on the stage now, which is Denial Esports going up against Dumpster Tier Superstars. Both teams as a whole, a little bit of a roster swap. One player of which has switched from one team to another now with Prismaticism, now on Dumpster Tier Superstars. And then, of course, we have good old iDream back here, Dunk.
Good old iDream indeed. C9 Light has been confirmed. Denial, 3 out of 5. You know, Glaurung has also been in the scene a long time. We've known him. We've seen that he can play at that level. And I think APM has slotted in very well too. It's just a matter of will they show up and have the synergy that they did not have at Burbank.
Right.
That's my concern.
That's actually a really good point you bring up, Trix. When we kind of looking at that, obviously, with Denial Esports being in that position, they didn't have the best NA regional number 1 here in the fall season. So what can they do here, or like what do they have to have changed? Is iDream enough to be able to put them in a good spot here?
Yeah, I would hope so. Denial, again, is a team of old superstars, right? They've been at the pinnacle of their best play. The question is, can they bring more to today's event? The major thing for me is this team lacks an identity. They have a bunch of superstars that just don't quite work together all the way, and when you watch the qualifiers, it kind of felt like they were styling on people. I'm hoping this weekend we see something that's almost coordinated from them instead of just being a bunch of good players happening to win.
I mean, one of the criticisms levied towards them in the previous regional was that Glaurung didn't have the most flexible position in the team, and it didn't help them too much. We'll talk about that in a bit, though, as we do take a look a little bit closer now at Dumpster Tier Superstars here as a amalgamation of a team once again with, you know, Prismaticism coming in from Denial Esports in the previous. He had a little bit of a rough experience in the last regional, but how do you think he fits with this team as a whole, Dunk?
In this team, I imagine he's under a lot less pressure. Just the personalities are not as loud in this team as on Denial. So I imagine he'll be able to slot into this team and feel more comfortable because there's not all of this pressure. Nobody's looking at this team and being like, oh, they're going to win, they need to do so well, which is what people were saying about Denial.
Yeah.
And I think that really hurt him because he hasn't had the best LAN performances already. And then you go in with all that extra pressure. You don't have that, oh, I've won tournaments before, I'm used to this. He didn't have that to back him up.
Yeah, Prismatic is one of those guys that's a Hero League warrior. He really can show up when he needs to. Now, being on a team that doesn't have that pressure that Dunk was alluding to is perfect for him. All he has to do, shake the nerves, deliver at a LAN, and this team can do very well.
Yeah, and also, of course, he does have one of the best names in Heroes of the Storm, and it's nice to see Faye joining the Redhead group for sure. And then on the other side, we have Denial Esports here with now iDream having joined, having previously, announced retirement after leaving Cloud9 and then kind of just coming back, realizing, well, actually, Heroes of the Storm is a pretty fun game. But overall, now their roster, it's a star-studded lineup, and we expected them to at least make top 4 last regional. Wasn't successful there. Is this their time here, Trixler?
I really hope so. I was talking to King Caffeine a little bit, and I was like, hey, man, Regional 1, a little disappointing, eh? And he was like, yeah, it was. Coming into this weekend, they've been preparing pretty darn hard. They have a lot of hero lineups that they're wanting to surprise us with that they were mentioning to me. And they also really are trying to come together as a team. I'm looking at iDream this weekend. I want to make sure that he's not getting a little bit too flashy because he's just not quite where he was a year ago. I hate to be so mean because I love iDream, but I need him to pull it back a little bit and make sure to work together with this team. And if they do that, they can easily get through this round. I'm not sure if they can get out of groups, but they can definitely get through this round.
Dunk, is this with iDream now in? Obviously, you have had so much experience with the majority of this team. Do you see them being able to propel themselves forwards here in these situations?
If they find the fire again. That's one of the stories of these teams. I mean, every team you look at, every esport you look at, drive is the #1 thing that determines how good a team or how good a player is. And this team, I think Glaurung and APM are so hungry still.
Yeah, they are.
That even if CAF, Dream, K1, they've experienced the top, maybe the drive's not there, but if you add in Glaurung to bring that fire and everyone plays around that, I think you can actually get what you need to be a world tier team again.
Is that why you now are just on the caster's desk? The fire is gone, or is it a different kind of fire? What are you saying?
I'm dead inside, Kalaris.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Kind of like me on my trip yesterday. That was a bit tense for sure. Okay, so Trix, I mean, looking at how these two teams actually line up against one another, obviously Dumpster Tier Superstars are actually a team that has a lot of veteran potential behind them. Yeah. We've seen these players a lot in the NA scene, but matching up against Denial Esports, do they stand a chance?
Yeah, that's the question for us, because on paper, Denial looks like they're going to stomp this round, right? It's just something that you immediately jump to when your mind looks at the paper. But when it comes to Dumpster Tier Superstars, they are a team of misfits that do seem to band together pretty well. They seem like they have combinations they want to pull off. They enjoy wombo combos, but they also kind of back up on cheese a little bit. I would not be and completely surprised if we saw Vikings gameplay today, Zagara jumped out of nowhere, Nidus Network pushes, Abathur with something kind of mixed in there as well. This team has the capabilities to pull that off, and with the leadership of Srey, as long as he doesn't get too hot-headed on comms, they can do a lot of work here.
And what's nice to see is that our first map in this series is going to be Towers of Doom, which opens up a lot of potential between these two teams. I see you there, Dunk. I see you. We like this map. I
do. I think this map is going to be excellent because we've seen iDream play Vikings in the past. I wonder if he'll bring it back for NA finally.
Please. For my EU soul, please, I need to see Vikings on this map. I would be a very happy panda if I do. But, I mean, Trix, that's a good question. I asked it at the last regional. I'm going to ask you now here, since you're kind of the new guy to the team.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Got to put you on the spot. Why? Why do you guys not like Vikings as much on this map when it's fantastic?
No, I don't get it, because I agree. Even if you are low tier at playing them, you still bring a lot of value. Just the pressure themselves alone, if you don't let them die consistently, do bring that pressure to the battleground. I agree that for some reason North America isn't just bringing it up, and that's because Arthlon, iDream, these players that did play them kind of retired out. But I have heard there is a person on Dumpster Tier Superstars that has been practicing the Vikings. So you could see a resurgence of that hero in North America.
I'd be very happy to see that. I just realized that I asked probably one of the most unconventional players in North America with Sanis and his Murky doing what he does, so I probably shouldn't have asked you that. But anyway, regardless, of course, make sure to join in the conversation with the hashtag HGC as well on Twitter, and tell us who you think is going to win this match as well, because overall, we saw a previous series which didn't quite go as we initially expected, and then obviously seeing Murloc Geniuses be victorious in that first series. So we'll be getting into the draft in just a little bit here, guys. But beyond the idea of Vikings, what other things stand out for you on Towers of Doom? Some more conventional picks here in the NA scene.
Well, some of the most conventional picks that are just even better on Towers, that Li Ming, amazing here, interrupting over walls. Falstad, excellent global. We also have seen a lot of Brightwing on Towers of Doom in North America especially. A lot of the other regions haven't been latching onto the Brightwing as much, but in NA, almost every Towers game has one, so I would not be surprised to see a Brightwing. Pretty much every global becomes insane on this map.
Yeah, every global. Dahaka is one that many forget about, but he's been in scrims a lot lately. I've mentioned that we've seen a few players of this weekend just really running that hero in their scrims, so we could see some Dahaka. Another one that a lot of people forget about, and again, this is me with the unconventional stuff, Prismatic plays a mean Chromie. And Chromie, if you can get her set up on this battleground, she can break down the altars pretty quickly. So potentially we could see that pulled out, especially if Prismatic is feeling himself. You know, he's been a little bit unconfident the last couple of weeks, but if he's feeling it now, he can bring that out and really just show us what can happen if Chromie is on Towers of Doom.
Shades of Chromie going up against iDream's Rexar, I think, really come to mind when you mentioned that. Don't think we'll be seeing that quite here unless they go really, really wild. But that is something that we have seen before in the American scene.
Medivh, Stitches.
Yeah.
Oh, Gorge Portals, boys. That is the hallmark of this map. This is like the go-to cheese. Yeah. So I do not think either of these teams wants to deal with that, and it's definitely going to get banned out here.
I have to ask, have you actually been seeing quite a bit of that in the NA scene? Because in the European scene, it was almost like this small niche little thing that people were like, whispering about and nobody really wanted to do. But is that something that could
I think
happen?
we've seen more Stitches than the Medivh combo. I think Medivh could be piled on top of here. We've seen a lot of teams already practicing it in the last week. But you could see a Stitches. Does he have? He has a lot of nook and crannies here that he can really disrupt majority of Vaulters, especially the top right one, the top left one. So you could see Stitches. Medivh would be the icing on the cake of happiness for me, but I'm not sure if we'll see it.
When the last EU regional over in Gamescom, I was the happiest person ever when I got to actually cast ADRD, playing as Medivh, doing what it did. It made my day so much brighter, for sure. Yeah. So I would be also happy to actually see it here if we do get to it. Of course, it is even very powerful on other maps as well. Whilst we're just waiting for the draft here, something like Infernal Shrines is something that really excels when it comes to Medivh play because the portals can follow the Punishers through beyond walls and things like that. So we've seen it in bans before, but will we see it get through, Dunk? Is that the big thing?
I have to say I don't think we'll see it get through.
Right.
Unless it's in the first phase of the draft. I think Medivh has seen bans in the second phase already. In the last set, he saw bans in 2 games because they just didn't want to deal with that, and I think it's going to be similar here. If it makes it through the first rotations, he will get banned out in the second phase just because when you can late pick Medivh especially, the enemy team doesn't have time to respond. They can't draft around the Medivh if you already have a team set up, and he's just so amazing.
Yeah, he's so good in prolonged engagements, which happen on Towers of Doom. Infernal Shrines, you mentioned, he can set that portal up, grab the extra duration at level 1 if he would like, and really just float around the entire time. And you're correct, if you can't draft and be ready to jump on the Medivh or at least punish that in any way, shape, or form, it feels so painful to play against. The Force of Will disrupting so much damage, it just becomes a real pain in the rear to deal with. So we'll see if that will be happening here, but I don't think it's going to get far.
It's like the Karazhan chess event. Medivh cheats, basically. He does what he can. He burn everything. But when it comes to TNC, we've spoken about Medivh, we've spoken about Denial and how they're coming into this tournament. When it comes to Dumpster Tier Superstars, what have they been able to show during qualifiers that would give them a bit of a spark in this group that can be difficult with teams like Denial, with teams like Murloc Geniuses, posing for those top 2 spots?
Well, Dumpster Tier Superstars pretty much just played standard, I would say, in the qualifiers. Honestly, they were one of the teams where no one really stood out as, picking weird heroes, doing anything super crazy, because those are players who have been around the NA Regional for a long, long time. They are solid players. They've never really breached that top 2, top 1. Those players haven't been there. So they're still hungry. They have the fire. And I think the fact that there's no big personalities, no big egos on that team is really going to help them come together and actually play as a unit rather than a lot of the teams that we've seen have roster changes. They've suddenly become not units. They've been playing uncoordinated. They've had difficulty using their heroics. And no egos means it's easier to get that team cohesion.
Yeah, I think the weirdest thing we saw from them was Zeratul and the Jaina, and that's pretty standard. If you're hitting Ring of Frost already with the Zeratul Wombo combo.
That's Europe 101.
Yeah, pretty much. The most we saw was Falstad, a lot of Greymane, a lot of Tyrael being mixed in, so you won't see anything too crazy. In terms of supports, too, when it comes to Iacona, it's always Rhaegar or Uther, it seems like. I've seen them play a little bit of Morales in the qualifiers, but in terms of weirdness, they haven't quite showed us anything, and I would love to see that.
In the current patch that we're playing on, the Oriel patch, where Greymane's got his nerf, Hammer's got his buff, we haven't, in our previous series, even seen a hint of Tyrael actually coming out. Is there a shift in the prioritization of Warriors here in America, or do you still think Tyrael definitely has his place for these teams moving forward?
Tyrael has to still have his place. I mean, it's always been a North American thing. Sometimes Tyrael just doesn't show up.
Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe it was just the last 2 teams happened to not like Tyrael, and that's why we didn't see it in any of the draft, because I still think he is absolutely monstrous.
Yeah, he's bonkers. I just feel like with North America, they are very on this thing of flavor of the month. When they get bodied by a Tyrael, suddenly everyone wants to play Tyrael, right? And we haven't seen anything happen yet in this tournament, and we could see it pop up soon, but I think he's kind of being slotted into more of a double bruiser role now. With Greymane not going for that burst potential, blowing people up now type of builds, Tyrael just suddenly falls down a little bit for a lot of teams. I do know TNC, even when Tyrael was God tier, they weren't picking him, so that's why you didn't really see him in the earlier drafts, but we could probably see him pulled out here. However, when you do look at Denial, you think King Caffeine, and the first hero you think is Muradin. So, if Muradin's banned out, and then maybe Lior gets banned out, maybe we'll see some Tyrael from them.
Hello, Crone there in the crowd.
So beautiful. Look at that pick. Custom made for the weekend. Looking fly.
Does what he can, does what he can. GFE obviously looking to take a second spot here for BlizzCon throughout the entire tournament. Let's see if they can do it with the addition of Fan now. As you mentioned, it was interesting to see overall there is that little downgrade in the trio. You mentioned the Greymane, that heroic duo as it's been coined in the past or whatever.
I don't think Tyrael is warranted as being downgraded, though. I just feel like there is something there they can still utilize with them. I feel like in North America we see aggression out all the time. People want to take out people. They want to do takedowns, and Tyrael is really good at slowing down the fights alongside Falstad. So we should be seeing him more often this weekend, and I would love to see it, especially from Dumpster Tier. Saray's got a mean Nubrak and a mean Tyrael, so we'd love to see him.
Well, I'm getting word that the draft has begun. Okay. And I will be fed some information as time goes on, as we're just having one or two slight complications. So in just moments, we will get some information about as to how the draft is going down here. So thank you very much for your patience out there, guys, and do bear with us for just a little bit longer. Now speculations are running wild in my head now that I'm thinking about it, being fed this information. But
I mean, I have a question. Who do you guys have here? Who wins?
I have to root for my boys, Denial. I mean, there's just no way. I mean, you know what? I like Dumpster Tier Superstars. They're all great. I've hung out with them before, but it's not the same. I have to root for my boys. Calf and K1, Dream, let's go, guys. I want to see them win because they didn't last time. I was a little disappointed.
Aww.
I put my faith in them again here, and hopefully they won't break my heart.
Yeah, I was disappointed, too, because in the first regional, they had some big talk. Like, this is the roster. We're going to dominate. We got that chemistry. O2'd, and they got taken out so quickly. So for this regional, yeah, I want to see those big barks that are going on. I want to see some bite from these guys, and I want to see them really bring it home. I think I'm going to vote for Denial as well, but I think it'll be 2-1.
All right, well, I'm just still getting a little bit more information here, as Denial was first banned, and they banned Brightwing, of all things. And Dumpster Tier banned Illidan to start things off. So that is actually quite the interesting couple of bans there. Obviously, Dumpster Tier targeting Glaurung to start things off, right?
Yeah, very interesting. Illidan on Glaurung has always been a staple of a hero that he plays all the time. Especially with Greymane getting slight nerfs, Illidan allows him to be a little bit more aggressive, and Glaurung is one of those guys that he'll lead the charge no matter what hero he's on, right? So the Illidan ban makes sense. I wonder if it's a little bit too early to go for that route. I think I'd rather, in the first game, test it out and see if they want to run Illidan strats before going for that ban. But interesting choice.
It makes a lot of sense to me to ban out Illidan there as a response to the Brightwing ban. We talk about this a bit. Zagara and Falstad are two of the main stories of these heroes are very good right now, and they're both good on this map. So, you ban out the Brightwing as first pick. That says, hey, if you ban Zagara, we get Falstad. If you ban Falstad, we get Zagara. And the fact that Dumpster Tier responded with banning Illidan, which is so out of the blue, I think it's actually going to throw Denial off.
Well, actually, that's interesting. I mean, the first pick looks like it was Falstad from Denial Esports here, and then that was followed up by a Leeming and a Greymane. So we're going to get that up on for you in just a little bit here to actually see exactly what has gone down in the draft so far. Whoop. Well, it was there for a moment. And hopefully it pops back up in just a spot as well. Interestingly enough, Zagara was there on the ban, so I think that was a slight error for a moment. So hopefully we'll get updated with that in just a bit.
So Li Ming into Greymane makes a lot of sense for me. It's a lot of firepower here for Dumpster Tier already. And we've been seeing, I think Faye is the only player in North America that literally runs orb build. And you can get a lot of money orbs on this battleground when people are trying to channel, right? And the moment you get those orb builds, you chunk someone down to half health. Greymane suddenly has an opening to play the old style that he had where he would dive in and burn somebody down, and then you get reset potential. So they're going for straight firepower here to begin with.
My concern with immediately rotating two hard carry sort of heroes, though, yeah, you get a lot of firepower, but you're kind of filling out your roster in a way that you don't have room for many utility heroes. Yeah. Like, it's harder to fit in a Medivh or a second tank or a second support, like, when you already have two hard carries picked immediately. So I feel like that's going to narrow down their draft options, because now Denial basically gets to control what supports are in the game, what tanks are in the game, since they have the next two rotations and then the ban.
All right, so I'm gonna run down the entire draft for you boys.
The hero we need.
So we're gonna run down it all, and then we're gonna kind of discuss it a little bit afterwards, and then we'll have the lineup. So we had Falstad picked first, and then Leeming, and then Greymane on the side of Dumpster Tier Superstars. Denial Esports then picked Muradin and Tassadar.
Okay.
So that is our first picks done. Oriel was the ban from Dumpster Tier Superstars. Then we had Zagara being banned by Denial Esports. Then Dumpster Tier Superstars picked Rehgar, and ETC. So at the moment, they're standing Li-Ming, Greymane, Rehgar, ETC. Denial Esports then picked Tassadar Tracer. So they're standing at currently Falstad, Muradin, Tracer, and Tassadar. And getting onto that in just a moment, of course, as their last pick. And then Dumpster Superstars went for... Oh, sorry. So, all right, the comps as a whole are... Denial... This was a little bit of a mess. Denial Esports has Falstad, Muradin, Tassadar, Tracer, Abathur. So they have the power Tracer comp behind that. Dumpster Tier Superstars, Li-Ming, Greymane, Rehgar, ETC, and the Lost Vikings. We are in Europe, finally, somehow, some way. So what do you make of those drafts, boys?
Interesting picks for our teams, but fun comps overall. Abathur and Trace are just going to be really a huge pain in the rear to anyone that gets low on health back there. Untouchable becomes a really decent choice here for Glaurung. He's able to get those procs and those Vikings if need be. But in terms of full power and full engage, I'm looking at Dumpster Tier supports or superstars, and I feel like they can be aggressive here. They have Greymane, they have Li-Ming, they get a little bit of poke here, and with the Vikings putting pressure on the battleground, they can dictate how team fights are going to go.
I love Denial's composition here. They have the Falstad Global plus the Abathur Global Pressure, and there's no targets on their team that are good kill targets. The Tracer can just dodge. Tassadar can dodge. It's so hard to kill those heroes.
All right, well, thank you very much, boys. We'll be checking with you after game number 1 here. Denial Esports going up against Dumpster Tier Superstars. I'm sending you over to Dread and Gilly over at the Xfinity casting desk.
Thank you, Caleris. Dread, we've taken a couple of flights since then, but I could swear with these drafts, we're back at Gamescom. We've got Tassadar and Abathur as the supports for Denial, and on the other side, the Lost Vikings on Towers of Doom.
I love the fact that we see TLV finally coming out. I mean, the analyst desk talked about it quite a bit on whether or not we would see. I don't view that as a European strat. I view it as if you can't play TLV on this map, if it's not even a threat. And in your arsenal, it is a huge misplay towards your team and your idea of the meta and everything like it is very good. So I love the fact that we see that finally coming back into play. It's been a very long time since we've seen teams do that. And then again, yes, we do see the building up of Glaurung once more. It fits to his playstyle, right? You kind of baby the Glaurung. He'll be able to make a lot of things happen. And again, on this map, this strategy is very hard to deal with.
Tassadar and Abathur together as well. A lot of times we've seen Tracer paired with one or the other, but to have both, that's potentially increased attack speed from Abathur. That is, of course, leeching plasma and letting her heal herself up. But against Vikings, I think it's very possible we could even see her go untouchable, start building up her own attack damage, and get those important stacks.
And we do see that Faye is going to be the one on the Lost Vikings, something that I don't think we've ever seen her on in her competitive career.
If so, it has been so long that I do not remember.
Yeah, it's been a very long time if that is going to be the case. So we'll see how effective she's going to be here. And looking at the level 1 on the side of Abathur, where he ends up opting in more towards the heal. Not surprising, common with the strategy. Again, Tracer essentially becomes self-sustaining and just freak to be able to deal with here, especially if your opponent does have too good of CC, which a Dumpster Tier does not have that many outside of the power slide.
Yeah, we've got Greymane on one side and the Tracer on the other. Both ones will want to be going in, potentially ones who will be stacking too. And when I look at this, both of these teams in the qualifiers had people who at different times were out of position and were caught out, maybe too far forward, maybe too far aggressive. And for the side of Denial, we definitely don't want to see that from iDream, as he's Abathur. That's a slug. You don't want to have him being too far up because he will go down very fast. But Tracer too, there's a lot of forgiveness there. Even with the nerf that came into some of the recall talents, still being able to recall out of danger is going to be really nice for Glau.
Yeah, we do see that Faye is under a bit of pressure there. The first Shrine phase is going to be spawning here. Abathur is looking to cap the top right while we see it deny, ironically, on the upper half of the map here for Denial Esports. Bottom is going to be able to get not delayed there, so Vikings will be able to pick it up for free. K1 Pro is very aggressive here. Sray misses his power slide, but K1 Pro's dead.
Oh, Sray's down though too. It's a 1-for-1 on either side with another Viking dropping just now. Abathur's in the altar location, just throwing out some of his locusts there, but Drama will pick up that altar too.
And with the death here, Falstad will be able to try and get the flight. ETC is going to be moving over rather quickly. Over time, Vikings are gaining the upper hand if they're getting the ability to split soak in those side lanes. Abathur's going to be too worried about making sure that Glaurung becomes really, really effective here, and what looked like a pretty convincing start for a moment there. Dumpster Tier is going to be able to pick up soak in all the lanes and the first 8 shots.
That's not something you always see with the Lost Vikings. A lot of times you have them in the lanes and you lose out maybe 2 out of the 3 just getting your own, but this is looking very good for Dumpster Tier, nearly a level ahead on top of that.
I think a lot of that came down to K1. I mean, obviously, that barrel roll was not necessarily the prettiest place to be going, but also he didn't delay at all on the bottom half of the map, which he should be able to take that Viking in a 1v1. He committed to the top left, and then he went only 1-for-1 in the trade. That is not what you want to do when you already commit that many resources that quickly there. They ended up punishing them. I mean, that's... I would argue it's uncharacteristic of him, at least in the past. In the past, I think I would easily consider him one of the best false heads in NA, minimum. But right there, for the first time, showing maybe not quite on the same page, and we're going to have to find out, as they're right now just getting out-pressured across the board here from Dumpster Tier.
Look at those giant pumpkins made stronger by the Mercenary Lord that the Vikings have at level 4. It is the first game of the day for both of these teams, so maybe just shaking off some jitters, maybe still kind of waking up, because Maticism's going to get caught here, and that's kind of what I talked about a little bit, is the potential that both of these teams have had in qualifiers to have people do that. Something that I had seen Prismaticism on Greymane too when playing before, but level 7's still going to come in. Even with losing Greymane there, still DTS are in the lead in experience.
And for now, just the talents here across the board. Viking getting the spin to win at 7. Quicksilver Bolts, Calamity with the Triumvirate. I kind of criticized that in the first match. It's I think, again, one of the maps that you can get away with that type of build.
Right, for more poke.
Yes, again, it's a situation where you can rely on the poke much like you can on maps like Cursed Hollow, as we do have the bottom shrine now going to be spawning here, and we'll see if Dumpster Tier Superstars are going to be able to get a rewind back on what they did during the first shrine phase here.
They are all posturing around 1. This is great too, because if they can keep that safe poke up, they have the Vikings in the lane. Abathur is up in the top, trying to keep them up, keep Denial up in experience, but still, with so many more bodies that the Vikings give, it's going to go Dumpster Tier Superstars' way as long as they don't lose people though, but Prismaticism gets hit by Pulse Bomb and stuck and dead.
Yeah, but there are a lot of targets very low on the side of Denial, and they might be able to make something happen here. Abathur's been doing his best to trying to minimize the advantage here that Faye can possibly get. Glaring, again, getting a lot of harass. And I mean, I can't help but point out that's the second power slide missed on the side of ETC. Putting himself in risky positioning, but also not getting the hard CC onto Glorong is very detrimental to their composition and how it's going to be able to play out.
You know, Dumpster Tier Superstars were playing a lot of Tyrael in the qualifiers and not really playing ETC at all. None since Burbank. Obviously, they've still been practicing him, but even with that, if they haven't been really playing him in a competitive setting a lot, there's going to be some rust to shake off here.
Yeah, and I think that's the case that we see so far, but for now, the game is almost dead even here when it comes to experience a bit of a pressure advantage for a short period of time or on the side of Dumpster Tier. As this game moves on, though, Dumpster Tier hits what I would consider probably a reasonable power strike. Actually, Abathur getting cut out. iDream is not going to be able to get the orb. Claudius not quite in position to be able to confirm that kill there onto the worm, so he will be able to survive. But again, I was talking about the power spike. I think that Dumpster Tier is going to hit there with the Vikings, depending on what level 10 they go into. I think their 20 opportunity and the pressure they can provide, Abathur can't even deal with.
Yeah, let's talk about those heroic abilities. In Europe, when we would see it, it's always play again, right? Any thought for why they might want to pick up Longbow?
Only Tassadar to support. It's it's a pretty strong heroic, especially 20. It doesn't do well in the mid game, but in the late game, the 20 opportunity that it provides, the double shots, it's going to be very hard for them to be able to deal with. I think we're going to still see a play again, just because the map pressure potential that they're going to try and put out onto their opponents, plus maybe a flank onto the Tracer. It's very common to be able to get that DPS with the stun coming out from the large and in charge Olaf.
Especially the very deep flanks that you talked about, where you send someone in and it's there. Wow, okay, so Monstrosity being the choice of heroic for Abathur. Before, when we've seen it, this Abathur Tracer, you would go maybe like a double Tracer in this instance, maybe even a double Muradin. But in this case, I think really wanting to make sure that they can focus on having symbiotes on targets to help with the supporting of the team overall.
Yeah, and it gets you a lot of split pressure to be able to deal with what the Vikings might be able to do there. But it also makes it to where Glorong now needs to be successful. If he isn't at all, then they're going to be in a very rough position again, because They do not have any clone. They have nothing of the like. It is Glaurung and K1 Pro, and that is about it. Claudius actually taking a bit of harass along with Iacona is going to have the bomb going on to him. Really good zoning here from Denial so far, and they're just gaining the upper hand in every way, shape, and form. APN's going to get the channel. Dust coming out, not going to be able to stop the delay.
Claudius comes in with Disintegrate, and that will be one stall out. But what else do they have to stall it? Looks like Denial's gonna have to move back. Allow King Caffeine to use his well tap here in the bottom lane. Here comes Trey, and that's a huge mosh pit. Tassadar will be the first to go down. Damage is a little bit slow, but that's one reset. Tracer is dropped, and King Caffeine barely gets out alive.
That was such a good mosh pit there in that chokehold when they all grouped up. Saray missed his first 2 power slides, but he hit the one that mattered. And meanwhile, Caffeine under pressure, popping the avatar. And this is going to be a Sapphire camp going over to Dumpster Tier Superstars that they now have a 4-shot lead, experience advantage over their opponents. And that was very, very well done. And again, I mean, that monstrosity was pretty easily killed because it's so worried about babying Glaurung to make sure that he's going to be effective and really enabling him to become just terror there onto the Tracer. And it didn't do anything. I can't help but feel like I would have liked to see another Murd in there. Like, it would have been effective. I'm not saying it lost them the team fight necessarily, but I really want to see iDream put to use that monstrosity for me to go like, oh, that makes a lot of sense why we would look into that heroic choice for him.
More like a Chaos comp.
Yes.
For sure, or at least using it even in the zone. But I like that DTS has been so focused on getting these Pumpkin Sapper camps since they do have the Mercenary Lord for the Vikings. They grabbed one, they didn't have a Viking in position to help push with it, but that gave them time to get a second one now too, and that forces such a big response from Denial because they don't want to start losing bell towers because that's going to only empower these Vikings composition.
But the fact that Saray was so slow to rotate in the bottom half, he was kind of anchoring, worried about the Tracer. He had no beefy front line to be able to zone off those saplings, so that we do see that Denial was able to deny most of those. 13-tier advantage now going to be picked up for DTS in this game.
Up in the top, it has been Glaurung trying to push back the Vikings, and they've done a good job. They are still caught up in experience, and that is the key when you're up against a Vikings comp like this.
I agree. They've done a very good job not falling too far behind when it comes to the experience. I also haven't seen Faye get caught very much, which is not common for when we see these players play Vikings competitively for one of the earlier times. As I say that, she ends up losing the Eric. But again, she's done a very good job so far in this game to be able to deal with that. They're going to be able to pick up the top bell tower as well. 2 shrines are going to be spawning here. So this next fight's really going to kind of put a pretty big lead in one of these 2 teams as Prismatic gets aggressive.
It hasn't really felt, though, like Denial is going Vikings hunting. You know, they've gotten a couple of kills on Vikings, but they've been way more focused on just responding to wherever this is going.
I agree, but I haven't felt like Glaurung has been doing so well in those fights to justify it, right? Like when I view their comp, I go, all right, Glaurung's going to be just a terror, and that really, I haven't felt that almost at all. So for not worrying about the Vikings, I haven't been too impressed with what Glaurung's been able to produce so far, as well as we do see APM trying to get the channel. He actually stopped that himself. Nobody was going to be able to deny that. Glaurung ends up dodging the power side here, so they're going to have the upper hand for a short period of time as that cooldown is still going to be up.
Glaurung's trying to start going in and has brought Claudius down pretty far, as well as Iacona. Mosh pit,
not the mosh pit we were looking for.
Anybody.
I think he was trying to predict the recall positioning when she dropped the recall. For some reason, he thought it was going to be in that shrub, and that was what he was looking to do. But now Glaurung is on Prismaticism, getting a lot of DPS here. They're going to try and confirm the kill onto King Caffeine. Beautiful force wall there is going to lock him in.
Good.
Play again, and trying to play again.
Oh, no!
They're just denying Faye left and right. She is not going to be able to spawn here in this fight, Gilly.
That Gust was really well timed to let APM pick up the altar, and then right after that too, the force wall was perfect to get that ETC kill. But all that time, there were 5 shots versus 3, and 5 of those shots did go down onto Denial's core. Even in getting that altar, which was their safe one, Denial only got 3 shots, so they're still behind in this core health.
Yeah, they're doing all right. Dumpster Tier, I mean, obviously the mosh pit wasn't pretty. Nobody's going to try and make an argument for that, but they're not so far behind, or not even really behind in this game, so it's a forgiving moment for them because of how well they've been able to make up for the early game. And again, I personally think that I do see a spike on the side of Dumpster Tier when we get that 20 mark. It's a very weird comp to where I haven't seen it enough to be totally confident, but I'm pretty sure they will be very effective here. So the fact that they're still even upper hand when it comes to the health of his core, I like their comp and where it's going.
And these enlarged Pumpkin Sappers, they're trying again to be able to escort these into another bell tower and pick this up yet again in the bottom lane, but it gets stalled out. by Denial. They're very cautious to protect this, but it does mean that they're relying a lot on Abathur as the soak so that they can use their 4-man to stop the 4-man of wherever DTS ends up going. 16's here for Denial. Right behind them are Dumpster Tier, so they're not going to let them get a fight in that narrow amount of time where Denial had the upper hand.
Yeah, and now we do see the triple shrine. No Vikings have postured on the bottom half to be able to try and... Oh, actually, excuse me, as I say that, there is one down there. Meanwhile, Sray is getting force-walled out. The bomb going onto him as well. K1 is there. He is going to be removed from this world for the time being. Faye is trying to get the delay with Olaf there and buying time. She will be able to get the free channel on bottom, I believe. Never mind. K1 Pro looking to get that flight on the bottom half here.
This is rough for Dumpster Tier to lose Sray just as it's the second triple altar spawn. Look at the positioning. APM zoning up here in front, or starting to pick it up where the rest of them are zoning. They have to use Ancestral Healing to keep Prismaticism alive, but he is starting to go in for the kill. They have lost one Viking. They've pushed EPM away. Abathur about to pick that up there on the right side. He has already grabbed it, and Falstad in the bottom will get that as well. So Dumpster Tier can only hope at this point to get one of these 3 altars.
Prismaticism was legitimately one step away from finding iDream there, maybe going in to get the kill. Not going to happen. But Faye, after using play again, was able to secure that top left shot. So 21-19 is going to be the case here, but a large experience advantage for Denial Esports as they slowly turn this game into their favor.
And that makes you feel really good when you're up against Vikings.
Yes.
And you're winning that experience war. Even though they have Abathur, right? There's just so many more bodies for Dumpster Tier to zone.
To be fair, we're yet to really see when heroics are used to even semi-effect, we're yet to see Denial truly take a 5-on-5 properly and win it, right? We saw one where they were successful. There was a completely whiffed mosh pit. There was we've seen them again. They were able to get the pick onto Sray there when he was isolated from his team, and that put it into a position where they are able to get the upper hand. And their comp excels in kind of that chaos, you're split away. But if they go head to head here, I don't know if they're going to be able to be as successful as we saw over the last couple of minutes.
Once again, they pick up these pumpkin sappers, and they're very low. Sray wants to go in, but it's pretty late. It's after they have already taken a lot of damage, so they again aren't able to utilize what they would like. Pulse Bomb does not connect, but here comes K1 Pro. There is the gust, and they've hit Sray, but Cladius is able to teleport away. So no kills off of that. Stray wants to go right back into the action.
Yeah, this is a fight that they want to take, but I don't know if they're going to be given it quite yet. They are slowly catching up in experience again because Faye and the pressure she provides onto the map, but now Gust is going to be down for 40 seconds. If they're able to get that fight before that happens, if a shrine or something like is going to be able to happen, sapling pressure somewhere, Dumpster Tier might be able to make something big happen in this game. And Faye, again, I mean, she's going to die here? Not even.
Wow.
I just wanted to credit her for how successful she's been on those Vikings in this game.
That was a Tracer with Abathur pressure. At least it helped Tracer pick up nearly a Pulse Bomb because she was down that and would have been down it for the fight. We'll have it for this one, but another 2 altars about to spawn. Denial ahead in experience, but not close enough to get 20 to try to grab that and get the altars off of it.
Gust is going to be off cooldown relatively quickly here as well. That's going to be a Murden. King Caffeine already popping his avatar. Prismat is already just getting ripped through that. Give him the axe there as Gloron goes in, gets the harass. He now has his bomb. That Gust is splitting him against the wall, but no kill's going to happen. APM confirms the the cap here, but we see Faye getting the cap on mid as well. So they go blow for blow here, and so just both teams are going to walk out. Never mind. Dumpster Tier is going to move up and try and get the fight.
They're using the Gust just to try to pick up shots. Both of these teams have been very focused on grabbing altars this game, and it makes sense. That is how you win this game. That's the only way that you win on Towers of Doom is to get those shots for the core. They've even been focused on the Pumpkin Zappers very heavily too, despite the fact that they have...
Mosh is still up. This is a chokehold. They don't want to fight it.
Oh, they're going to try. There goes it.
There it is.
And it was a Mosh. They've got Disintegrate behind it, starting to burn them down. That's 1 kill. Leeming starting to get resets. Pulse Bomb has hit Cladius though, and that would be another one, but a 2 for 1. 3 for 1, and they are saying worth to lose Leeming there.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be saying worth at this point. As long as Prismaticism doesn't lose its life here, they get rid of the saplings on the bottom half, and now we see a huge time frame where Dumpster Tier is going to be able to open up the map. Bell towers, pressure everywhere. 20 is going to hit. Are we going to see the Vikings going with that Fury of the Storm, being able to spread so much damage around the map? They posture towards this. It's only going to be an Abathur hack. Caffeine's going to try and kill Prismat or Iacona, or at least draw them off with this Abathur hack. It will do a lot of damage, but it shouldn't be enough to get anything here, as 20 more shots, and again, beautiful window here for Dumpster Tier.
That was a perfect mosh pit on Falstad.
Yes.
No Gust to stop that out. A boss will be grabbed for Dumpster Tier, and that is 4 more shots going on to the core of Denial Esports. We're starting to get down there. They're not out of it yet. It's not a huge change or a difference between the core health, but it's still Dumpster Tier. They've got 20 now. They're starting to get some presence in these lanes too, especially if they can do something with these pumpkins that they've grabbed on top too.
Yeah, and we do see she ends up going with the upgraded Heroic 4 play again here. And here comes the Shrine phase. We only have 1 on the bottom. All 5 members are up for Denial Esports here. No bell towers were going to be picked up. They worried about the boss instead. 6-shot advantage. And this next fight is going to determine a lot. Moshpit's going to not be up for 30 seconds, and that's really big that cooldown's off. Again, when they go blow for blow, 5 versus 5, they seem Dumpster Tier is pulled ahead in most situations, but with Moshpit off, if they end up forcing that fight before this 18-second time advantage, Denial could pull away with a win here.
Abathur has picked up Hive Mind, and that'll help out Castar with the supporting they have, since they have things like Soma Transference,
5
especially.
seconds.
Glowron's gonna get away.
That was a really huge play on Faye. If she can do that again to Glowron when the cooldown on Olaf is up, she might be in a position to be able to just do so much damage that she's going to win her team the team fight. Because Glowron is all that matters when it comes to Denial Esports composition, right? Now that we've gotten to late game, you have to win the team fight. It's all on Glowron here. So we'll see if Faye's going to be able to get that flank once more onto Glowron as he postures out. Olaf does a lot of damage to her.
Eric is starting to pull this out, and that makes both Murden and Mighty Gust have to be used there. Here's play again. They bring all the Vikings back. They pop Murden in a mosh pit too, and the damage comes out from that. Cladius again is going to drop. Glowron's done such a good job of stopping Cladius from getting resets and getting those kills, but still Dumpster Tier are staying in this fight.
Yeah, they're being able to deny here. Iacona is very low as well. Faye's going in. It's 4 versus 5 for now. Prismat is looking like he's going to be going down as well. He ends up falling here. Faye is going down as well. Some of the Vikings Monstrosity pushing down the upper half of the map the entire time, and this is 4 shots here going over for Denial as they move the core down to 13. Closing it into 2 difference.
That was perfect.
It was?
Perfect by Denial. Glowron showed up. He delivered in that. He took out Cladius.
Yep.
He took out Prismaticism. Abathur pushed down a bell tower with Monstrosity. They knew all of the Vikings were there. They were trying to use Vikings to mess with Tracer, and now they have taken 2 bell towers away at once and are working on the 3rd.
Yeah, and that's going to be singular shots now moving onto the core. Nobody's posturing on the other side lanes here as well. This could be a situation to where Denial, puts it to a lose-lose situation on the core. There's going to be 12 moving in, and it's not going to stop yet. Nobody's moving. There they go. Rotation to the upper half. How long are they going to be able to deny this? As that's going to be 11, evening up the tides.
They are maybe not going to be able to deny this. Dumpster Tier slowly starting to burn it down, but even so, they finally, with those few shots they've gotten, started to win in core health, and now Denial looking to maybe get the pressure, keep the pressure going. They know that their opponents are going to be rotating around for forever, dealing with the other bell towers. They can pick up these pumpkins and go right back to that bell tower.
I really want to see Li Ming specifically follow up on Faye when she ends up getting the Olaf stun onto Tracer. They need to be able to worry about the Tracer. The mosh pit only went onto the ETC in the last time. You see them zoning off of here on the upper half of the map, trying to get rid of those sapling damage. So I like this posture for them, but again, Faye can't be left alone to deal with Glowron because they have too many tools. Right, you normally, oh man, look at that, even soloing the camp with Monstrosity. I don't think he's going to be able to get it. Is the heal enough? The heal's enough!
He's getting it! Wow.
The dream right there, literally and metaphorically.
I did not know. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, see?
I did not know that could be a thing. Oh, Stray jumping in
Zoning
with
mosh?
the mosh pit. Zoning K1 Pro away. Barrel rolls through. He did. The Gust pushed everyone else back enough that the follow-up wasn't there yet to get him before he could barrel roll away.
I don't know what else to say. I think that's about the third time that we've seen that coming out from Stray. Granted, he's had 2 game-changing mosh pits on his own. Look at that mine, dude. Dream is just standing in a minefield. Everybody's moving up. You see so much damage coming out. This is going to be a 5-3 when it comes to the shots of this. 9-11 when it is the health on the core. No mosh pit available. This is the fight Denial wants.
Well, Dumpster Tier are happy to try to start this off, but remember, they don't have mosh pit for this. Cladius is going to jump away, and we have a recall used by Tracer, so it's a little bit amount of time where Glowron needs to be very safe during this, but there's still massive amounts of damage they're dealing. King Caffeine is insane right now on Murden. Look at him!
Yeah, but Prismat is doing a lot of damage on the backline as well. Glowron's almost dead. Prismat will end up falling there. Not going to be able to survive. Shield going on to Glowron as well. Hat as well. Now he's going to be healing up. Faye has nothing left. And Caffeine is
Caff is a monster!
he doesn't care. Oh, man.
Oh.
Very well done here as they get a huge lead over their opponents that should be able to confirm the game, I believe. They have a 40-second time frame. They have a lot they can do. Abathur's already starting that camp. They should confirm bottom and mid. That'll be shots.
There's
and then a
Falstad.
boss should be enough. I think they can end.
Working on this last one, Killen Pro flies in, but he does have Epic Mount. He wants to fly somewhere else.
Yep.
They have one
That's
Ultra
it.
left. They left it. Very great job leaving it until they had all of the bell towers.
I forgot that wasn't even capped. At that point, I forgot that nobody channeled those shots in the first place. That was my bad.
It was such patience. It was
Yeah, it
great.
was.
But why not when you've taken down nearly everybody from DTS? And that will be game number 1 to the crazy, annoying, I would say, composition of Denial Esports.
Yes, very well done on the side of Denial, ending up to be able to take number 1. And I mean, iDream showed a pretty good showing. His first time with this team, or at least on the big stage. And overall, though, I can't help but feel like a lot of that came down to Soray. He was, I mean, hit or miss is probably not doing it justice. He either was 100% won his team the fight or single-handedly lost it. And I think his next game and his performance is going to be really telling of how far Dumpster Tier is going to be able to make it.
Well, there's a lot of things to talk about from that game specifically. So let's head over to the panel to see what they thought.
Yes, there is. Thank you very much, Gilly. Wow, wow, wow. What a back and forth game, and overall, some really cool plays as well. Now, I mean, where do I even begin? I guess let's begin with iDream playing Abathur, going for Monstrosity. For the majority of that game, it seemed like it didn't really get too much value, but up until that very point where they actually grabbed themselves the 2 bell towers towards the end, it feels like that one play alone was able to secure actual value during that game.
Yeah, I liked how the early game he played a little bit on the passive side, but transitioned to this aggressive style towards the end of the game that allowed him to get the value out of Monstrosity. What he was doing was just waiting for Faye to bring her Vikings down to help in the team fights around singular altars, and then use the Monstrosity to build stacks, and then he started murking, which is a little bit cute, but he made it work, right? He got the 6 minions in the bottom right corner and the bottom left corner. I felt like Dream was kind of testing what Faye was doing with her Vikings, because in the early game, she wasn't playing aggressive at all. She was holding them back, which makes sense if Tracer goes the level 4 talent that gives him the stacks, but unfortunately, Tracer didn't go that route, which means at that point, you're supposed to go ablaze with the Vikings, and that never occurred.
All right, let's take a look at some of the highlights from this game, actually, as a whole here between Denial Esports and DTS. As there is still, so many dynamics that go on here. You can already see them challenging this bottom shrine here.
There was only one dynamic here, though, Kalars. That mosh pit for days, absolutely dominating that team fight. And Dread was talking about this. Soray's been kind of hit or miss on his mosh pits, and that one was definitely a hit. But it was at this point in the game, later, when Murden got given the axe, that we really started to see Denial take commanding teamfight victories. I want you to watch this healing static value on Murden there. Drops to 1% health, back to half, because of that healing static Thunderburn combination, plus all of the Vikings.
Yeah, it really felt like this entire composition came online at level 16. Caffeine was the front line, give him the axe value. And all Tracer had to do here was pick off people that started getting low and making sure not to die. And Glarwang did just that, and eventually they just propelled themselves to the victory as it got to late game.
So much synergy, not only between even Abathur, Tracer, and of course Tassadar, but also the fact that Abathur can even hat the Muradin, as you said, with the Give Him the Axe, have so much power behind that kind of comp. And you saw even towards some of the later fights there, how much Muradin was doing as a front line, zoning out 2 or 3 people and causing a lot of havoc there, Dunk.
There was one fight where Murden got the Abathur hat, jumped into the enemy backline, and then Greymane, Li Ming, and Rhaegar all just had to run away. The Ancestral was forced out, and it was all just Murden plus a hat. And that let Greymane do whatever, Glarwang do whatever he wanted on that Tracer to those Vikings.
Yeah, and at that point, you have Abathur just doing whatever he wants also, just sitting top lane, middle lane, keeping control of those forts because they grabbed so many of them. There was one potential moment where we could have seen Dumpster Tier maybe win the game there, and that was the missed power slide into Mosh Pit in the bottom left corner that Falstad lived through. Had they gotten Falstad there, they would have been able to grab the altar immediately afterwards and take control of the battleground, but unfortunately, it just did not happen for them, and you see Denial just take the entire game and run with it.
It also felt like they played pretty well overall around the Vikings, even going up against something like Play Again and then towards level 20, going up against something like Checkpoint Reached. When Play Again is activated, obviously it becomes a little bit of a problem, with dealing with the Vikings, but Denial Esports dealt with it very well, right?
most teams against the Vikings, if you're not experienced against it at least, you will fall behind in experience. Yeah. You won't soak the lanes properly, you won't deal with the structures properly, and you will get pressured. Denial didn't have any of that. Even though they weren't winning team fights commandingly in the early game, they always stayed even in experience, which is critical on Towers of Doom.
Yeah, it really was a thing for them just to make sure they stayed even until they got to 16, where we saw that power spike. I do want to say I really wish I would have seen more aggression from Faye in the early game, though. I feel like they could have gotten that lead, because Abither wasn't doing anything too insane. All he was doing was putting down mines and hatting Tracer until they got to the later stages, and that never should have happened. I feel like the Vikings should be pushing in lanes, denying ammo, and eventually getting forts.
It's an interesting thing. Without Bribe on that map, it meant that her team had to help her take those merc camps compared to other methods by which to allow them to have a bit more free room. But anyway, I believe we're almost ready here for the second draft here on Sky Temple. So that is going to be an interesting one for sure here between the two teams. As Denial Esports, things didn't look as comfortable for them as I was expecting, but we are now into the draft here once again, powered by Oros. So Denial Esports banning out Zagara, and then on the other side we have Tassadar banned out, and obviously our first picks have already come in, boys.
Falstad first pick, no surprises here. Dumpster Tier Superstars did not want to deal with that Tassadar, so they banned it out. We've talked about first pick having that free ban choice. Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh. It seems that teams are starting to really get on board with the whole split pushing meta that's occurring lately. Abither kind of feeling that need that Zagara would normally bring in, and then also grabbing Zeratul here. Hatted Zeratul and also Ultimate Evolution Zeratul can be quite a pain to deal with here. So Dumpster Tier really going for the map control and really trying to body in team fights.
Now, picking Zeratul into Brightwing is a little unusual. That's widely regarded as one of the best counters to Zeratul, because you can always rotate to match where the Zeratul is showing up on the map, and you also have that polymorph. So as soon as you show up, you can turn on the Zeratul, polymorph him, he can't blink back out.
Well, of course, they could have potentially used it as a second ban, but is it also the fact that they see Brightwing on the other side? They know Glaurung is on Denial Esports, and it could be just, we don't particularly want to give you that, and we don't want to use it as a second ban.
Yeah, that could be a good call out right there. And I also feel like with the Ultimate Evolution, you could have the other Zeratul open up the fight, maybe get a polymorph on some other form there, and maybe save a teammate that's getting burned down, and then suddenly Zeratul, with two of them being on the field, you can get some value out of your original Zeratul. So there are some options here for Dumpster Tier.
The big question here is whether Denial will be able to keep Li Ming alive. I think at this point you can tell Dumpster Tier Superstars composition, the Falstad, Zeratul, Abither, that's all their damage basically. They need to pick a tank, they need to pick a support. So the real question here for Denial is, how are we keeping Li Ming alive? Because if we do, we'll win the team fights. I think Dumpster Tier Superstars should ban out Muradin here, because that is Kaf's most comfortable tank, and he would be absolutely devastating on that. It didn't get banned out. Ariel actually was the choice. Ariel could Crystal Aegis Li Ming to save her. So, you know, that is something to consider. You don't want to allow that to go through, but I'm just worried that Kaf is going to run over Dumpster Tier Superstars on Muradin again.
Yeah, Muradin's most likely to pick up here. He's just been running it the entire weekend. In fact, he even complained a little bit, I have to play so much Muradin for my team because I'm so good at it. I'm like, sucks to be you, man. But yeah, there's a Muradin pickup right away into Greymane. So yeah, Ariel's ban makes sense. We're seeing a lot of double support, and you're right, the Aegis is so important, and also the knockback, just enough to save your teammates. So I like the bans here from Dumpster Tier. Now I'm questioning what they're going to follow it up into. You need some kind of hard engage at some point, because you have the Void Prism, but you want to make sure that you have some kind of warrior in the front line. And I'm wondering if a Nubrak is going to be the pickup here for Dumpster Tier, because we know that Srey can run a Mina Nubrak.
And it will be able to get into the backline, but it will be Tyrael instead, which kind of fills that role as well, and being able to give some support as a whole, and then with Rehgar to follow things up. So what are you making of this so far, Dunk?
I think the Tyrael Rehgar is a really good choice for Dumpster Tier Superstars, but it just doesn't strike me as enough. This Medivh is exactly what I wanted to see. I wanted to mention this, got caught up talking about the Tyrael, but I think this Medivh is literally perfect for Denial. There is no way Zeratul's going to be able to kill Li Ming through the Medivh, Force of Will. You're going to play with those portals, and he is just so devastating. I can't wait to see K1 play it.
Yeah, Denial really has the ability of time on their side here. They're really able to prolong team fights and really secure scenarios where they know they can win the fight. Where you look at Dumpster Tier Superstars, and they're going to be trying to get a isolation with Mighty Gust or a Void Prison. And if they don't get that isolation, their team fight is going to crumble quickly.
I mean, overall, seeing Medivh actually coming into the draft here once again and being an impactful part of it overall, a lot of people look at Medivh, or initially looked at Medivh and thought, okay, yeah, is he a support? Is he a specialist? What does he do? But I think as we've learned to play with Medivh, he has certainly taken on that specialist role because he can push out so much damage, especially with level 7 Master's Touch, which is possibly one of the most annoying talents in the game to actually deal with. So Denial Esports, going from Tracer, Abathur, Testar, to now having a Medivh on their side, they are certainly playing the we're going to infuriate you to high hell kind of role, right?
Definitely. I mean, Medivh is so frustrating to deal with in a composition. Every time you go for a kill, Force of Will. Every time you gust them away, we'll just portal out or portal back in to counter the gust. So he has so many tools that it's very difficult to deal with, and he even brings an extra polymorph potentially for Zeratul. Imagine going into Zeratul and getting triple polyed. Poly, rewind poly, polybomb. Boom.
That'd be the saddest.
Polymorph can work here too, but line of stasis can also be great when you see that all-in engage happening. There's so many tools here from Medivh to really help dictate how the fight's going to work out here for Denial. I love the pick so much.
Well, that's actually something that we see a lot of in Europe, and it's been kind of discussed back and forth. What do you go? Do you want to go poly or do you want to go ley line? It seems the general consensus in Europe is ley line seals the way to go to kind of separate things up. But regardless, we shall see what we want to see in NA here. As boys, what are you looking out for here? Are you looking out for that Medivh? What do you think, Dunk?
K1 Pro and Medivh. That's what I'm going to watch all game.
All right.
I want to see the sick plays.
Yeah, definitely the guy I'm going to be looking out for. Watching at level 7 for him to get that Master's Touch, see how he gets in the mix. And also, I'm going to watch how Dumpster Tier deals with him. Because if you can force Medivh to use Force of Will in weird scenarios and then burst somebody else down, that's where you get your value and you get to a point where you can win a team fight.
All right, well, thank you very much, boys. We'll check in with you behind this game now as we head over to the Casters Desk powered by Xfinity with, of course, Dread and Gillyweed.
We're back with game number 2, and Dread, I'm loving seeing Brightwing on Denial's side because even from the Burbank qualifiers, Denial's been one of the teams who best respects the minion changes and split push rotation. So I think it's going to be so critical that DTS makes sure that they continue to respond to that with their Falstad and their Abathur.
Yeah, and I mean, we're finally seeing Denial pull out the Medivh. A lot of people have known that it's kind of been in the arsenal for some time, so it's exciting to see that they're going to be bringing it out. And I think, you can expect a lot of dancing back and forth between the portals on the side of Glar on the Gray main. He's just going to be trying to keep him alive as best they possibly can. And Claudius now has to prove that he is going to be playing out of his mind with that Zeratul. And then also Tyrael, man, it's a hero as a solo tank we haven't seen too many teams be great at, so hopefully Strike can prove us wrong.
With so much focus into the Zeratul with Abathur and Rhaegar, and then even with a Tyrael too, I don't know that it's out of the question that we're going to see Claudius go for Gathering Power, especially because he plays it with Regen Master still. He does not go with Greater Cleave at 1.
Yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. We'll find out. But it seems like we still have 60-40 in favor of Dumpster Tier Superstar even after that performance. Meanwhile, we do see Greyman has fallen on the bottom half. APM is taking a lot of harass as well, but he's going to be able to get out of there. Bit of a misplay in the skirmish there. Very well done on the side of Dumpster Tier, be able to punish and go 1-for-1.
I think we're going to see Stray be a lot more comfortable this game. As I was saying last game, they played so much Tyrael in the qualifiers that this is a much more familiar playstyle. And Claudius has been playing Zeratul for as long as I've known him in the scene. So 2 things right off the bat that are going to be beneficial for Dumpster Tier on Sky Temple.
Falstad ended up flying on the bottom half. Zeratul was looking to get a gank as well. A lot of resources from both teams. 2v2 committed to the bottom half. Polymorph coming into play. Claudius almost falling down. Not going to happen quite yet. The disengage. Oh, I thought he was going to disengage Flash. Not going to happen here. But again, Prismat does not have his flight for some time while APM has the opportunity to, as shots in mid go in favor of Dumpster Tier for a short period of time.
Mid will be held by Tyrael, but up in the top, Muradin is sitting on the top temple. They are really close in shots, so if this continues, they're probably going to trade them out. K1 Pro's coming in. He can really save it. Oh, Claudius is going to be brought down. A great polymorph.
There, he's dead. He's got it.
Okay, so 1-for-1. Likely they're going to trade these out. K1 Pro is a good hero for being able to stall. Yeah. So if they can do that long enough, then maybe they can rotate down, steal just the last few shots from this mid-temple.
Meanwhile, K1 ends up finding Faye. She's going to go down as well. And shots for both the teams seem to be traded for the most part. It seems like a bloodbath. Neither team committing rotations to the upper half and worrying about the shrines, but more the bottom. Now iDream is trying to get out. He will be able to. Icona was going to get polymorphed. Orb coming in, and he's going to be all right for now as we see Denial confirming shots on both sides. iDream under pressure.
Oh, Singularity Spike does not connect. Claudius going back in. 87 health is iDream, but he gets away, as does King Caffeine. And Abathur again. So looking at how we have Dumpster Tier Superstars, I love that we're seeing everybody 1v1. It's not just Zeratul, right? It's like, Rhaegar, hey, I've got an Abathur hat, let's go. Tyrael, I can take on Greymane once I've got the Abathur hat. A 1v1ing happening around this map.
It's surprising. It's just a lot of teams going for the 1v1s, the 2v2s everywhere. And no team has really had too much major success over the other, but we do see that Denial was able to secure both, or at least a majority of the shots there with a great stall on the side of Medivh. Faye, though we were complimenting her ability to survive when it comes to the Vikings, not the case so much when it comes to the Abathur here. She needs to be far more patient, or at least, I don't know, cautious when it comes to her positioning here in this game. Is that's the second death?
Well, earlier when we were talking about comfort picks, it's a role swap for her in some regard. Faye's played Abathur before, don't get me wrong. I just hold that thought because Faye's going in after 8 PM and they'll get the kill. They're body blocking King Caffeine, but would have maybe put themselves in a dangerous position, so we're going to continue to poke down and go with these minions to take down some towers. But Faye's played Abathur before, but they used to have Jason on the team, and that was Jason's hero. He plays a ton of Abathur, so maybe some comfort, nerves, not sure, but hopefully we could see Faye be a little more patient, as you were saying.
Yeah, we'll see if that's going to be the case now. Knights are picked up for Dumpster Tier on the upper half. Falstad will be able to help deal with those, and then expect a giant rotation with some skirmishing on the bottom half. Medivh has had a minimal impact. He ends up going with the Master Touch opportunity at 7, so we'll see how well he's going to be able to stack that up here. And then other than that, looks like it's very standard, except a Mule on the side of Abathur. It's going to be very value on the upper half of the map. That top 4 is Mule Sentry. Yeah, there we go. So juicy.
What I love about this is they have the Abathur, so they are wanting to be able to get his maximum split push later on. But also, Mule not only heals up your structures, sometimes it can force your opponents to make bad decisions, trying to sacrifice stuff to make sure that they take down whatever structure gets low off of temple shots. So either way, I like that they're babying this. I hope that they don't spend too many resources. The last time that I saw a Mule game with Sky Temple, a team utilized way too many resources to keep whatever structure alive that was being muled, and they lost everything else because of it.
Yeah, we should be able to see Prismaticism make the rotation. There's going to be another Mule up in the next 10 seconds or so. But meanwhile, we see the bottom shrine is going to be spawning here. 4 versus 4 on the bottom half as Zeratul makes the rotation to get scouted out by the Medivh. And this is where I expect Medivh to start making some pretty big plays with Glaurung. I think we're hitting that era where they're going to be terrifying to be able to deal with, especially with Brightwing hitting their 7 spike.
Both are neck and neck in experience. Stray starting to move in to make sure that Denial don't get a lot of these shots from the bottom. The Falstad has come in too, and Brightwing's not phase shifted in yet. There she starts the phase shift. They didn't kill off Glaurung, so now it's a fair 5v5.
Yeah, but that was a lot of free damage there. Abathur now is going to have a free time on the upper half to get that pressure too, so this is a winning situation now for Dumpster Tier Superstars, and it looks like they realize that. They are going to move in, try and stop the shots. Claudius will be able to get the stealth as well, so they need to make sure that they're effective with this next rotation here as 10 is getting close for both these teams. If they get these shots, that's going to get that turret, and that's going to lead a big win in the race to 10 for them. Dumpster Tier right now are this close of getting a huge advantage.
This is a long stall, but they both desperately want to get heroic abilities over their opponents. Both leave.
What?
The shrine?
They just got off and gave you the free turret. Oh my goodness. It's not going to. Dumpster Tier now is just going to move in.
Falstad is down, and Denial get closer and closer to heroic abilities. Dumpster Tier will walk off and let them have the rest of the shrine.
Volleybomb's the route. We see K1 going, but again, just at the minute Muradin pulled away, so did everybody else. I was surprised by that. They were a little bit too panicked, but we see everybody looking to pick up their 10s here. Zeratul is still waiting. He's yet to be able to take it. There's no way. There's no way
that we're doing this.
Shadow Assault would be not the option to go, especially into a Brightwing Medivh with Polybomb. There's legitimately zero way we see that, right?
That is so low.
Mule value.
Mule value. Back up, fueling it back up. Do Denial. They have Giants. They should be able to poke off of
Falstad
this.
has to rotate
still really low.
It's really value. Even if Falstad gusted off of this, it would be a winning situation to be able to draw this many resources from their opponents.
They're blocking the missiles.
They're not going to be able to make. There he goes. He ends up going down there, so they should possibly be able to get this. We see Brightwing is going down as well. Gus is still available. He gets stunned out. Mule is killed, and we see the clone. And it is Void Prism picked up here as they go in on Dream.
All right, there they go, jumping in on Ice Beam, but he doesn't connect. There comes a very angry Angry Wolf out of a portal, and that's going to be 1 kill. Make it 2 kills. Denial. The quick 2-0, and they're going to bring down that point.
I mean, I can't help but feel this game is about to get out of control for Denial after that play. Not so much that it was just, I mean, mind-blowing in terms of how effective they were with it, but Dumpster Tier decided to opt into that fight, used only 2 heroics, and not really too much value coming out there, and it didn't even feel like it was difficult for Denial so far here. They have structural advantage over their opponents, even with them taking the Mule as well, and level lead here. So now it just, Dumpster Tier does not seem to be on the same page in any way, shape, or form this game.
And that is an interesting note that you make, because that was an issue for them the last regional too.
It was, and I think a lot of the decision making with the removal of McIntyre and the roster swaps that they've had have been around that cohesion and everything they like, but I mean, to be blunt, it doesn't feel like it's gone away.
Well, they did pick up 2 people who have been known to sometimes have land jitters. Prismatis has been talked about before, Cladius sometimes too, but again, still in this game. We've got temples about to spawn. They need 13 though, because Denial are pretty close to that. But if they can poke around and let Abathur do his thing, they can catch back up in experience without too much difficulty.
Once you hit 13, Glaring is going to become so scary with K1 on that Medivh. Being able to give more portals and make that mobility just that much harder to deal with, as we do see he ends up going with the CDR there. So now shots on mid or Denial are going to be picked up. I would like to see the rotation. There it is. Fall set on the bottom half. They're just worried about trading shots, and this is not winning trade for Dumpster, but it's the one they have to take.
Okay, so I saw this happen in qualifiers, and I wondered if it was a misclick. But iDream has picked up Cannoneer on Li Ming, which is, again, something that happened in qualifiers and is very, very rare. Here comes Faye with Ultimate Evolution, quickly dealt with by Denial. And now Dumpster Tier have to figure out what they want to do. They're going to back off. They have Falstad at the bottom. Trading is still favorable for them, since they do have Mule and have been able to keep up in structures. It's
with the Cannoneer, it allows you to get a reasonable amount of harass onto the Zeratul if he goes in and gets his DPS out there. You have the auto attacks to be able to get more DPS rather than worrying about the mobility or the burst fear that you can get with the Illusionist. I mean, I agree. Obviously, it's a very rare choice as we see the skirmish up here going out. Polymorph, excuse me, Iacona, the Sanctification coming into play. Will be able to keep him alive here. Are they going to be able to turn as Claudius goes in?
Claudius has dropped the Void Prison in the back, and they're hoping to get a kill before Dream and K1 Pro can get back in there with Force of Wills. But it wasn't fast enough, and everyone from Denial will move away. Again, Mule, they're dropping it on this fort so they can heal it back up. And this has got to be annoying for Denial.
I mean, it's annoying, but that's about where it stops. Like, I don't care how many times you mule it, you have to win a team fight, and I want to see you show that you are able to do that. Yes, Denial is committing so many resources here that Dumpster Tier is actually catching up. So I would agree that I think Denial is panicking a little bit too much, but I genuinely want to see Dumpster Tier show that they're on the same page. They have the cohesion to really take a skirmish, because I have a lot of scariness happening in this game, but K1 barely portaling out. That was legitimately 1 HP here, and Claudius now getting polymorphed. He ends up going down.
Oh, it was so important that K1 Pro didn't die there. Yeah. He's stacking. He would lose all of his Master's touch stacks if he died there. And Claudius knew it. He tried to get the kill, but overextended forward in the end and went down. Prismatis is going to gust Denial away from this fort again, trying their best to keep this alive so they can mule it up.
Missing Larong with that slow actually was enough to be able to make sure he will be able to survive. They're trying to get off of this. The Mule cooldown will be up relatively soon here. Abathur also confirmed the middle fort here. So while this dance up here, the eternal dance that feels like they've been going through, she's been able to get an upper hand there with Faye on the Abathur, and now Mule coming in on top. XP advantage, half a lead in favor of Denial. 16 is going to be clicking in as they get this bottom shrine. But for now, it just feels like Dumpster Tier is watch us mule and dance around the map. Isn't this fun? And Denial goes, but wait, we can just kill you. So I really feel like Dumpster right now really needs to be able to show that they can win a fight. I mean, because in the end, it doesn't matter how cheeky your mule play is. In the long run, it comes down to a fight, and right now, they're yet to win one.
Well, Denial are prioritizing getting the top temple so they can finally bring down the top fort that has been muled so much. There is another temple on bottom that Rhaegar is going to hold on to. So with the support down there, everyone else from Dumpster Tier going to be fairly safe in that regard. So they know that Iacona is a long way away if they get into a fight.
One of the best things about Dumpster Tier Superstars is, oh gosh, Polybomb is coming out. He's got to reset onto his Q, and he's going to be going down there. We see the Falstad just pretty much getting obliterated, but it's the first time that because of the mule value they've gotten, the 3 to 4 rotations of almost full health, they have turned it to where their shots are gaining more value than their denials, which is, I mean, it's kind of funny because you almost never see it. It's not a huge lead, but they've really kind of turned the tides when it comes to structural integrity, at least.
Yeah, it's Sky Timble, 9 kills versus 3. You would think, okay, Dumpster Tier are pretty behind, and they're going to have to start sacrificing some of these temple phases, but because they have Abathur and because they've been able to deny some experience to Denial, at least enough, they've been on constant talent, same talent tiers. But Denial are really starting to ramp up. They have reabsorption now to help with making sure that they can keep people healthy, especially that Greymane who has Executioner. Again, give him the axe, which we know King Caffeine on Muradin is going to start dishing out as much damage, even if being the warrior.
He loves being on warriors where he feels like he can kill the backline. He hates positions to where he feels like he's just a CC bot. A lot of the times that's always been his playstyle, and it fills into that. Now Saray is going to get stunned out. And another thing is, we've almost never seen a Sanctification or like an engage here from Dungeon Tier. They do get the split there coming out from the Holy Ground, and an engage now going on to Iacona.
Yeah, the Sanctifications that we did see have largely been as well as these gusts, just to disengage and save themselves, which,
nobody wants to fight.
You have to be able to eventually win a fight.
Yeah, they're trying to just get this unique poke-S style play. You're never committing to a team fight, even with Sanctification and Void still available. Now, All Heroics still in up for Denial, where we see that we have the Clone and Gust burnt 40 seconds till they're going to be up. And for now, it's just seems like the teams are willing to wait until the shrines happen.
Time to heal some structures back up. Importantly, finally, all the forts are down on Dumpster Tier's side.
Yes.
So Denial can start putting some damage on keeps with temple phases, even though it's going to be up in 30 seconds.
Another thing, too, is Master's Touch is yet to be completed. That's pretty slow.
It is.
When it comes to the completion time. So, yes, we do see K1 repping the Medivh, but maybe not scaling nearly as quickly as he would like, for sure, or maybe even as reasonable. I think even ADRD, when we saw him pulling it out, had pretty quick success with that. But we'll see if he's going to be able to confirm it, as now we do have the middle shrine spawning. Controlling a vision is absolutely crucial here. Huge holy ground there, as we do see Sanctification coming out, and Glaurung's going to be caught out.
Ladies had a big cleave, but now King Caffeine is just wrecking in the backline, and nobody's doing anything with it. Polybomb has hit the clone, and FaZe going to make sure not to pass that to the team.
The Holy Ground attempt here as Cap is just ruining Prismaticism now. FaZe Clone is going in, trying to get harassed, but it's not going to matter. Shrey is slowly going down. Ancestral does land. Holy Ground doesn't matter as the Falstad just got dominated there in that team fight. I can't help but wonder. I'm sorry. My hands have been up in the air on my head. I'm so confused. Where was the Void? There was a team. There was legitimately the most perfect Void situation in the world, and it didn't happen. I've just been trying to figure out why. Like, is the R button broken? Like, did somebody check that out? Claudius might have an R button problem right now.
Well, we'll see, I guess, if he voids at some point, but I don't know. That's a great question.
They all had to move through that chokehold, so he just goes,
they did.
Void! And then all of a sudden, he's dead. I don't know. We're yet to see. I'm very confused. I don't know. We'll find out, though. 10-second disadvantage here. Falstad's not going to be up. 20 advantage, and keeps are being threatened. And now, I mean, if we don't see a Void, is going to win this game at this point.
Claudius may not have a broken R button, but I think he has broken R Dread.
He has. I feel like I'm in a stasis at this point.
Well, 20 is online to the only level 19 of Dumpster Tier Superstars. Arcane Brilliance, the choice to give ability power to his teammates. Greymane, but especially that Li Ming. Once she starts getting resets, it's a team of resets, as they have right now. But you can see the damage that they have now that they've picked up Executioner and give him the axe. Even Critterize is the choice for Brightwing. Not Greater Polymorph, not being able to get Bouncy Dust to spread out the shield. No, it's all about bursting somebody.
I absolutely love the level 20 there on the side of Medivh as well. The DPS output that he can get. He has the Master's Touch. See if they're going to make use of it as they have the 20 advantage here. It looks like they're trying to get the poke on that Medkeep. And you're talking about those bad decisions. We've seen Denial panic over this mule over and over and over again. And this is a situation where they really can eventually get that force here as you see the Rast Glarung there. But they should be able to make something happen, but they're so afraid of letting it go.
Yeah.
They're trying to maybe risk a bad choice. With 20 up, Iacona with the repulsion, the resets, and this is getting ugly. There's the void. I found it. I found it.
All right, so we know that they have they can void. It comes in too late to save Rhaegar, too late to save Falstad, and maybe too late at this point to save this game because there's no support. Faye is cloning Zeratul. They have Sanctification. They're trying to bring somebody down, anybody. But Zeratul will be the one to drop repulsion. Pushes people away, and K1 Pro won't even drop. That's 3 people dead for Dumpster Tier Superstars. And Denial winning this game in this series, 2-0.
A very unique fashion there. Dumpster Tier Superstars maybe not seeming on the same page. Huge shout out to iDream though in that last fight. He single-handedly forced it and won that last team fight with the repulsion isolation with his wave of force there, getting the reset, and Iacona just having no opportunity. So very well done from him. And I mean, we see just again creative compositions from every team here at the second North American Regional. It seems like these teams have really expanded their horizons, really knowing that this is their last chance to try and make it to BlizzCon.
But as it's the last chance to make it to BlizzCon, it also seems scared.
I agree completely. And
this is only day 1, group stage, and it's early on too that we've seen that. And that's not the first place we have seen the over passivity almost because of fear, because I got to cast a very long match.
Yes, it was on Cursed Hollow, and it was 25 minutes until a kill, grand finals of the tiebreaker match. And you can feel the tension when things like that happen. But we'll see, I think, as we kind of weed out through this tournament to find who is more of the best of North America. I think it'll get a little bit better, I think. Or it might have the opposite effect, honestly. That was the first time we saw a really big play, again, pulling off of the Shrine, even though it would have confirmed the tower, which would have led to a possible 10 here. And then the worrying about the Mule. They chose this fight. No cooldowns really used. Again, 3 heroics just left up. This is where, when I talk about the questioning whether or not Dumpster Tier is on the same page, is again because of all these choices. And I hope we get to see that replay of where I feel like it was just a dream void. K1 with the beautiful escape there.
Yeah, you said that you feel like it'll get better. I do think it'll be the team who is able to overcome that worry of this is it, this is where I tried to get to BlizzCon. But we are going to check in with Denial Esports King Caffeine, and it's going to be Jay Howe with the interview.
All right, I am here with King Caffeine. King Caffeine, we saw some pretty interesting play out of you two guys the first 2 games, going up against what they would see about what is going on with their side. So I'm kind of wondering if we're going to be able to see any bit more coming out of that. Do you think the pickup of iDream or the unretirement out of him is allowing you to do this type of compositions that we wouldn't normally see a few weeks ago?
Yeah, with the pickup of iDream, we definitely have a more varied draft. But honestly, what it mostly comes down to is just time spent together. Like, we've been playing together for almost 2 years at this point. And that amount of synergy we weren't going to be able to build with the new roster in just 1 month for PAX.
Well, we saw you play a lot of ETC last time, and this time around we see you back on Murden, which we know that you're known for, and you're an absolute menace. Do you think that that fits more your play style, and we're going to see a little bit more priority towards that?
Just those 2 drafts just required a Murden, actually. So, honestly, we'll see what I play for the rest of the tournament. I'm not sure.
All right, so we've seen a little bit of crazy play. We saw Medivh. We saw a little bit of Tracer play. Glarung play that really well. Do you feel that you guys are capable of running this and carrying it to victory? Or do you think at some point you're going to be able to play a little bit more standard comp?
We definitely have both types of comps prepared. We don't really want to show what we value for standard at the moment right now since we're still in groups. But yeah, as the tournament progresses, you'll definitely see a bunch of different things from us.
Well, I think we're all excited. We see kind of Cloud9 a little bit back together with you 3 guys, so there's a lot going on. Look forward to that. But we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to bring you guys the next set. These guys are going to be right back at it, so stay tuned.